What's up, guys? Welcome back to the TSOD channel. It's your boy Sean, and today we're covering 5 ways that you can carry your pistol in 2025. Trust me, you're not gonna wanna miss this video. You're gonna wanna watch this thing to the very end. I'll see you right after the intro. Welcome back, and I just want to say Happy New Year. It's 2025. It's been a long year, and this is the very first video of 2025. So, hey, we're going to start it off with a bang, and today we're talking all about 5 different holsters, 5 different methods or ways to carry, and I've got them all up here to demo for you today. So I know there's probably about 10 or 15 additional ways to carry a pistol, but these, in my opinion, are probably the 5 most common. Now, depending on your specific environment or situation, this ranking order might be a little bit different for you, but for me, this is based off my experience, and that's why I kind of rank these in this method. So basically rank these from 1 to 5, with 5 being probably my least preferred way to carry. Now, all 5 of these holsters are set up for a Glock 19. So I've got my personal Glock 19 with a red dot optic here, and I've got my cert pistol that is a Glock 19 replica that I'll also be using. So I'm gonna be basically putting these different holsters on in the different locations. I'm gonna be showing you guys a front profile, a side profile. I'm gonna be I'll tuck my shirt in, untuck it so you can see some of the printing and just overall profile of the holster and the weapon sitting there. I'll throw on a sweater. I'm gonna try my best to give you a bunch of different angles and feedback and information on why I feel like one is better than the other based off of the situation. So with that being said, we're gonna start off with my least preferred, and that is crossbody or crossbody draw, or what we call weak side draw. So that's what we're gonna start off with first. I'm gonna clear the table and let's get started. Guys, so we're gonna start off with number 5 first. And this is a holster, it's a leather holster, by the way, from Azula. They make some really quality leather holsters. This is their crossbody weak side, or for me, this would be obviously my left side draw here. So as you can see, it's basically designed like this. It's molded, and I'm gonna throw it on my belt here in a second, but as you can see, once it's sitting on there, it's basically gonna sit just like this. It's gonna have a little cant just like here, and I'm gonna have to go across my body and draw that thing. So without further ado, let me throw it on the belt and let's see how it looks. So we've got the holster set up here on my weak side or support side, set it up for crossbody draw or weak side draw, and I got it ranked as number 5, least preferred. We're gonna go ahead and do now is we're just gonna see how my Glock 19 sits in here with the red dot optic. Just gonna go ahead and slide it in here. Now, I haven't used this holster much. I just kind of use it for training purposes. So when it comes from Azula, it is pretty tight. It sits in there nice and snug. What I will say is that your pistol it'll stay in there pretty good, especially with this holster from Azula, this leather holster. Now, some of them can be a little bit loose. I know some of them will have straps that will come over that you gotta kind of break the strap as a security mechanism and then draw, excuse me. So this is basically how it sits with the shirt tucked in. Here's kind of the side profile, so as you can see it. And as far as the draw goes, as I'm sitting there, the threat presents itself. I've gotta go across here and position. This holster's a little bit tight. Over some time, once it gets a little bit sweaty, it heats up or whatever, it'll loosen up and have a much easier draw, and then I can kind of present out like so. But initially, I have to, more than likely, I may not be wearing it or rocking it like this. I may be rocking it in a concealed fashion, which I'll throw on a sweater here in a second so you can see how the mechanics looks of that draw. But here with it exposed, shirt tucked in, you kind of go around like this, and then you present out. It doesn't take a ton of time to get it out. It's just an extra step to where I'm having to, one, sort of telegraph my movement to that threat that's presented itself. And number 2, I've got to do an extra step where I'm crossing my body and then I have to come out here to sort of marry up and present out like that. So it adds additional time and movements, and it also telegraphs my movement for what I'm trying to do as well. So this is how it sort of looks a lot of times. Now, I will say with the crossbody carry here, it's more favored by the OG or the old school crowd. I notice a lot of the older guys, they like to rock the crossbody drop. Nothing, it's just not my flavor, guys. So that is it with G19 with the red dot. My training pistol, my cert pistol from Next Level Training. It's a Glock 19 replica. So it just kind of sits in there a little bit tight. No issues here. So if you're rocking either a red dot or one without, this holster will work for you. And depending on how tight it is, you may actually have to get in there, clear the garment, and put your hand on it to keep it from flopping around, just to pull this thing out. So those are extra movements that I'm not a huge fan of. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna go ahead and untuck this bad boy. Hey, by the way, pardon the dad bod. I've been spending some time with the family, eating up a bunch of food. So hopefully here in 2025, I can turn this dad bod into a god bod. So I'll be working on it. Don't worry guys. So here it is now with it untucked, as you can see. And there's quite a bit of printing here with it set up like this, or profiling. So as you can see here, here's the side profile. Pretty obvious. Carry conceal, going into a grocery store or something like that. People are gonna be like, what the hell is up with this guy? This is one of the reasons why, especially if you have a magazine, extended magazine, it's gonna stick out even further. So not my most preferred method for carrying. What I'm gonna do now is throw on a little sweater and see if that helps conceal some of this printing. So I've got a sweater on now, something that most people would kind of wear if you wear tight fitting clothing like I do. You go to the gym quite a bit. You wear a sweater to kind of help conceal a lot of that printing. But as you can see here, here's a side profile with just a sweater. Now, if you got your hands in your pocket here, you can kind of conceal it a little bit. Same thing from the front, but depending on how tight that sweater is, it's gonna print and profile quite a bit. So not my most favorite. Plus, depending on if it's a hoodie or the zipped up, those are other obstacles that I gotta go through to get this thing out and present it towards a target. So if I were gonna draw this thing with my shirt untucked, I've gotta do something like this, go like that, to kind of get it out there and present it out to that threat. So as you can see here, that's kind of one of the biggest cons, one of the biggest drawbacks to rocking the crossbody or weak side draw sort of holster setup. So not my most favorite. Let's check out number 4. Number 4 is back or kidney carry. Now I got it here set up on this little belt. I'll throw it on here in a minute and show you, but I just want to talk to you a little bit about the positioning and realistically like the application. Why would someone want to use a back carry setup or kidney carry setup? For many different reasons. I would say maybe for law enforcement, for undercover work, detective work, low visibility operations where maybe you might be seen a lot from the front or from the sides in, who knows, maybe like a PSD, a protective security detail sort of role, then you would maybe want to consider a back or kidney carry. So let's go ahead and throw it on here and let's see what it looks like. And I'll just talk you through some of the pros and cons of why I wouldn't wear a setup like this. So I'm gonna kind of show you guys a side profile while I talk here. So I've got it set up now for kidney position. I got my shirt tucked in so you can see it, basically how it looks. I'm using a Glock 19. With these back or kidney carries, you definitely want to get one for your specific hand, whether you're right-handed or left-handed. You pretty much want the cant coming in the direction that your primary hand's gonna go to. So for me, my dominant hand is my right hand to where I can get it and it makes sense, it's efficient to pull it this way and to present out to the target that way. So I'll show you guys here. Getting it into the holster is a little bit of a pain in the butt. That's why I kind of ranked it where I ranked it. It was number 4, just for the overall location. But as you can see, side profile, front profile, side profile, there's no sort of printing or anything like that of the weapon system. So for concealment, I give it an A+. It's probably number 1 in terms of concealment goes. But as far as ergonomics, efficiency of location, it's way back here. to where I've got to come out and present out like that. Now getting it back into the holster, that's where it's not like outside the waistband hip carry where I can just get it back into the holster. I got to kind of sit there and deal with whatever threat, whatever situation is going on before I can take some time now to sit there, find where the holster is, and get that pistol back in there. So as you can see here, I'll do a draw with it just from the back. You may be wearing, I'm gonna throw a sweater on here to where you're gonna have to maybe clear that garment, clear that clothing, and then after you cleared it, get that pistol out and onto the target. So that's with the G19, Glock 19 with the red dot, same thing without an optic. It just sits like that. What I'll do now is I'll just go ahead and untuck my shirt. Don't mind the dad bod, guys, working on it. So here is side profile of the pistol there in the back or kidney carry. The back view here, just like this with the shirt untucked. A little bit tight of a shirt, I get it. It's not a large, it's a medium. So that's just basically how it sits. So now I'm gonna throw a light sweater on and just see how that looks. So this is a front view with the kidney or back carry setup, side profile, and then a rear back view here. Pretty good, like I said, with concealment. However, when it comes to the draw, and I'll show you guys here, when it comes to the draw, I've got to do something like this to actually draw this thing out and then get that pistol out. So it's definitely ranked number 4 just for the efficiency of the draw and getting the pistol out. So not very comfortable when you've got multiple layers of clothing and you're in a critical incident to where you need to get this pistol out. And I can just show you guys, like here, my shirt's untucked, light sweater, critical incident occurs. I have to reach back, clear that clothing, and get that pistol out and onto that threat or that target. So it takes a little bit more time. That's why I ranked it as number 4. So that is the back or kidney carry. Up is the hip carry inside the waistband. Basically, my belt is gonna sit on the outside and this is gonna basically be tucked up my body here. So there are some pros and cons when it comes to hip carry and definitely when it comes to inside the waistband. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this bad boy on and just talk you through some of my experiences, the pros and cons with this specific setup. So we've got it set up here on my dominant side, my right side. I'll just show you kind of a side profile, a front profile without the pistol inside there. One of the things I wanted to kind of mention about this specific holster and a lot of the newer inside the waistband hip holsters is that it's got this little sort of, I would say like, I don't know, arm or brace that pushes the holster a little bit closer to the body, whereas some that don't have this, they'll tend to kind of like flare out a little bit. So I do like this with this little kind of side extension that helps tuck it into the body really good. Now, what I will say about this specific carry here, number 3, is that with something like that, that little arm that helps drive it in, if you're a big boy or a big gal out there, this may not be the most comfortable carry for you because it can kind of dig into your side quite a bit. So I'm gonna throw my G19 in here. It sits really good. This is with my shirt tucked in so you can just see the profile here from the side, my hands down from the back there. Now, it's pretty good for concealment overall because it hides the profile of the pistol. But when it tend to get it out of the holster, if you're of the huskier size, if you're a big gentleman or woman, you kind of really have to kind of dig in a little bit or cant your body over to the left so that way you can kind of make space for this pistol as you're getting it out of the holster. Or else you're just kind of digging into your side and you could end up just delaying the process of getting it out there and getting it presented towards the threat. Overall, if you're sitting down, not a very comfortable long-term carry position because it's digging into your side here. If you're wearing any type of body armor or anything like that, if you're military or law enforcement, this is definitely probably not gonna be your most comfortable carry position. So that's just something to think about. So now here, I'll go ahead and untuck my shirt. Just show you guys here a front profile of my Glock 19 sitting in there. Show you a side profile here. Doesn't print that much. That's why I ranked it as number 3. You really have to kind of lean over to get that thing out of the holster just a little bit. So I got my sweater on. Here's a front view of my hip carry inside the waistband setup. Not a ton of profiling whatsoever or printing. Show you a side shot here. And one of the things about this specific carry, it's a little bit more efficient when it comes to the draw. You will have to kind of reach up and clear that clothing to be able to reach out. And then you kind of maybe lean to the side just a little bit to be able to present out to that threat. So it goes up, level goes up a little bit as far as the efficiency of the draw and the time from inside the holster to present it out to the threat. If you're wearing, whether it's just a t-shirt or a sweater, you are going to have to you're gonna have to clear that clothing, maybe lean to the side just a little bit and get that pistol out and presented just like so. Overall, not a bad carry position for your everyday carry or duty carry, whatever the case may be. Probably don't wanna rock this with a bunch of kit and tactical gear. Appendix carry. It's my second favorite carry overall, and for a number of reasons. So as far as applications of when and why you would want to do an appendix carry, it really depends. For me, I find appendix carry to be the most comfortable when you're walking around. When you're doing something like PSD work, protective security detail, low visibility operations, undercover work, appendix carry, in my opinion, is probably one of the most comfortable and one of the most efficient and ergonomic ways to carry. So I'm gonna show you all about that here in a second. And there's a lot of pros. There's a lot of pros to appendix carry, and there's one major con to it, which I'll show you. And there's a story of a buddy of mine that had a mishap with appendix carry. So let's get it thrown on and let's talk about it. Okay, so we've got it set up here in the front, kind of in and around your appendix area. I really like it. If you're standing up, you're walking around, doing stuff like that, it's very, very, in my opinion, one of the more comfortable carry positions besides my number 1 position. Here, we'll just throw a 19 in, and as you can see, with the appendix carry, it tends to really conform to your body really well. So as far as printing or profiling, depending on your build, your setup, it's probably gonna be one of your favorite, whether you're a really big guy or gal or mid-size, small size, doesn't matter. I think the appendix carry will work well for most people. So as you can see here, here's a side profile with my shirt tucked in. No issues here. What I'll say is the pros about it, it just keeps the weapon nice and center line with your body. If you need to present out, you can keep your eye on the threat, and this holster is really tight. Keep your eye on the threat and just kind of present out like so. So I won't seat it all the way in there, so that way I can draw it a little bit easier. If I need to kind of clear my clothing, clear that garment, get it out, it's just quick and just like that versus some of the other ones that I talked about. Now, I'll throw my Glock 19 with the red dot on there, and it just sits nice and perfect. One of the things that I will say about this specific carry, so pay attention, with both the draw and the holstering of the appendix carry, or any carry of that matter, you definitely want to adhere to the 4 basic weapon safety rules, primarily the one about trigger control, because if you get kind of trigger happy and start squeezing toward the trigger, you could have a negligent discharge with this carry a little bit easier than some of the other ones, just because you got a lot of clothing and other things, belts, and just bad things can happen with this specific carry. So just please be careful. I had a buddy that I know who ended up having a negligent discharge with this style of carry. It was a totally different holster, but ended up getting snagged on something, had a negligent discharge, and he basically shot himself in the junk. His junk got operated on, he got surgery, ended up saving it somewhat, but I don't want that to happen to you. So just be aware, be cognizant of how you're drawing and how you're reholstering, especially a hot weapon, a hot gun, when it comes to appendix carry. Really, really comfortable carry, especially in the standing position, but just something to be aware of. Not a lot of cons other than that, in my opinion. Now, what I will say before I'll go ahead and untuck it. Now, if you're, One of the other cons, besides where it's positioned in terms of your body and your jewels, your golden jewels, is that if you're rocking I would say a big boy pistol, a full size pistol, Glock 17 or something like that, some sort of duty pistol, 1911, Appendix Carry is probably not going to be one of the most comfortable carries for you. One, because with Appendix Carry, that pistol is really kind of just pushing in on your stomach here. Also, where Appendix Carry is not very fun is if you're sitting down, you're in a vehicle and you're bending, you've got that whole pistol just pushing in on your stuff, on your junk and on your stomach there. So I would say it's primarily for subcompacts, compacts, smaller pistols. It works really well. Something like a Glock 43X or a P365, a smaller pistol. That's where I love rocking the Appendix Carry, but full size, it wouldn't be my primary way to carry. So here it is with it untucked, a little bit of profiling, a little bit of printing to where somebody can be looking at it like, hey, what's going on there? Here's a side view that you can see here. So what I'll do is I'll throw on a sweater and just so you can see that look and what it really looks like profile wise. So sweater's on, I'm rocking the Appendix Carry or front carry here. So as I clear that clothing, I basically just get that pistol out and keep my eyes on the threat. I don't really have to worry about kind of fishing around, going from the back or hip or even a crossbody draw. It's like I can keep my eye on the threat and just present out there. Understand that that pistol is just center line. So all I really need to do is clear that clothing, draw that pistol, and get it out there. So that's why I have it ranked as number 2. And doesn't really change much if you're rocking the optic or not rocking the optic. Without the optic on there, a little bit easier, less things to snag and catch as you're pulling it out of the holster. Just like this, you gotta clear that clothing, get a good grip, and then you punch out towards the threat. So that's why I got this as number 2, just for the overall efficiency of the location and the timing to get that pistol out of the holster and point it towards the target or the threat. Last but not least, my favorite carry position for a pistol overall is the hip carry, strong side, outside the waistband, for a multitude of reasons. I would say this is probably why most law enforcement, this is the number 1 carry. You just take a look. They've got their pistol and it's generally outside of because it's one of the most comfortable ways to carry. So what I'm gonna do now is basically just throw it on my hip and just show you guys kind of why I like this specific carry position, pros and cons of it. So front view here with the hip carry outside the waistband setup, very, very comfortable. I don't have that pistol on the inside of the waistband pushing up my stomach here. I don't have it in the back, so it's a lot easier for me to get to, a lot more efficient on the draw, less distance to cover. It's not here up in the front where it's digging in my junk and on my stomach on my strong side. So I'll grab my G19 SIRT pistol. Now, one of the things about this specific carry is you probably want to have it connected to a belt that is connected to your pants. So up so much. This holster is a little bit tight because I haven't used it very much. It's pretty much a training aid when I'm training students and friends and family. So I'm just gonna slightly set it in there and it just sits there. This one kind of cants in just a little bit. There are others that push it out a little bit further, creates more distance. So one of the things about the strong side outside of the waistband carry here is that when you're sitting in, let's say like a tactical vehicle, Humvee, MATV, some sort of military style vehicle, or even like a police cruiser or something like that, that's nice and that's very tight. It's got a bunch of electronics and other things like that. Probably not gonna be your most preferred carry. I like it for a lot of different reasons. If you're out there, just out there on the range, it's one of the most comfortable holster positions to set up. Yeah, if you're out there just kind of out and about, whether it's concealed carry, it is a very, very comfortable position. So here's the side profile of it. And for me, it's in a very efficient position for me to kind of get that pistol out, present it towards the target, back in the holster, just like that. And this one is pretty tight, so I'll just set it up like that. I'll swap it out with my Glock 19 here with the optic. It doesn't really change it up much at all. It's not digging into my side. It's sitting here on my strong side. I don't have to telegraph anything. So what I'll do now is just kind of untuck my shirt here, and that way you can see what that profiling looks like. A little bit of a tighter fitting shirt. It's just medium, not quite a large, but you can see a little bit of that profiling or that printing here on the side. I'll show you a side view here. This is with my shirt untucked. And what I'll do now is show you with a sweater. So I've got my sweater on now. As you can see at the front view, not much on the printing side. You can't really see a whole lot as far as profiling of me carrying the pistol. I'll show you a side view here. Overall, pretty decent level of concealment when it comes to concealed carry. When it comes to actually getting it out and presenting it, I still need to clear my area, clear that clothing, get it out of the way so I can get that pistol out and present it towards that target. That is my favorite carry overall, hip carry outside the waistband. So now I'll just kind of do a roll up of all the different holsters and love to hear your thoughts and comments on them. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. I showed you guys 5 different ways to carry a pistol here in 2025. Starting with number 5 here, this is a crossbody or weak side draw. Then we've got number 4, which is our kidney or back carry. Number 3 here, we've got our inside the waistband hip carry. Number 2, we've got appendix carry or front carry. And then last but not least, number 1 is strong side hip carry outside the waistband. So I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Now, there's probably another 5, 10, 15 additional ways to carry a pistol, but for me, over the years, these are the 5 that I've seen as like the most common and most prominent, at least here in and around the area that I live. Now, these numbers can change depending on the specific situation or country, environment, so many different reasons. So I would love to hear your thoughts and comments in the comment section below on what do you think? Do you think the order is good, or you think maybe you should shift some around? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on that. But that's all I got for you guys today on today's video. Don't forget to head on over to our website, tsodshop.com. We've got merch over there. I would love for you guys to help support the channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And I will catch you again on the next video here on the TSOD channel in 2025. Peace.